Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome back, everyone. It was wonderful last time we got together with this gentleman and hearing his journey that started as a child in Greece and has taken him to a wonderful company that makes delicious and healthy Greek foods in the true Mediterranean artisanal tradition. We're going to pick up our conversation with him now. The company is called Tassos. That's who he is. Tassos Chronopoulos joins us once again here. Welcome back, sir. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine. How are you?
Fantastic. I really, in our last conversation, I got such a view. I feel like I was next to you through those generations of your life moving forward, from the point of being in another country and yearning for something more. And I did remember what you talked about in terms of the musical standards, Sinatra and others that you would listen to. I want to go back to that for just a moment. It did a lot for you, just listening to that American music when you were in Greece.
It's important that you realize that during these years, the most, I would say, the American singers from Sinatra to Sammy Davis and
Junior, right?
They were all over Europe, especially in Greece, but their songs, they were not like today, where a drum hits you over the head and you jump like a chicken or whatever. They were meaningful, especially even when I was in college, when things went bad, when the professors down in Louisiana thought that if you had a dark skin, you don't belong in a white university, and I was suntanned before I left Greece because I love the sea. I was about to leave the school, and as I stopped my car and got out, I heard the song of Frank Sinatra, I Did It My Way, and I said, shit, I better do the same. And that's what brought me into Chicago. And I don't know if you are aware, and this is why I'm committed to provide the American consumer with natural products, that they have no chemicals, no additives, but they are good for your health, is that at that time, when I started, I finished engineering, or I was working and going to school at night, I worked on a team that for research and development, where four of us designed the underground electric system transmission, and also we created something that the distribution of the system was not done sitting at the top of a wood column, but on the ground. So this is how the enclosed stadium in Houston, Texas, was electrically supplied. So there are not any wood poles sitting around the structure. And this was done in the early 70s. And it was used, and it has been used only on the expressways. So to light up the light poles, but you don't see any wires coming around, on the edges of the expressways or cutting down trees. So when I hear now that, Texas was destroyed without electricity because of the storm, I'm saying to myself, why did they not use the system that was done in the 70s to transfer electricity across the place? When I went to work for U.S. Steel, the company that we did the transformer and the electrical transformer and the electrical distribution, it was a small company, G&W Electric, outside of Chicago in a suburb. When I worked for U.S. Steel, the way we stopped polluting Lake Michigan is by creating the chlorifier circulator, where you bring all the dirt fluid in and you clean it, and then you move it out, and you can use it for your agriculturally speaking, and also for when it's clean, you can use it at your house. So these things are things that they have caused me to say about the human species, that we are not a group that understands that this planet is affected by our actions. And when I hear the newspaper media and the politicians to talk about inflation, I'm saying, why don't they look at the weather, what the weather has done to agriculture or to animal lives in the planet? That's why we don't have agricultural products anymore, because of the high heat and no water or the storms. So what I have tried to do with our products in Greece is that I have stopped using equipment that are polluting the air. The harvesting that takes place from the olive trees is by hand. The production that facilities have only electric equipment, no pollutants to work the various machines to pick the olives. The water that we're using to wash the olives and whatever is deposited in a small little area in the factory, and then it's used for the toilets or to take it and water the olive trees. The olive trees are not to be spread. We have surrounded the olive groves with electricity and attracting the fruit oil, whatever comes to the tree, because they have the olives, and attracts the fruit flies, etc. And we avoid spraying the olive groves. When you go into an agricultural area and the farmer uses all kinds of sprays to take care of the vegetables that he grows on his place, these vegetables have chemicals. For instance, the vegetable oil is filled up with chemicals. They cannot wash all these veggies before they press them to make the oil. So what we are doing, we are giving the American consumer food that causes them not to get well, but to get sick. And our mission of this company is to give the American people something that helps them medicinally. The olive oil, as you know, I do not know what your faith is, but in the Christian faith, when they are christening a child, they take olive oil and put it in their hands, their forehead, and they say, God is going to help you. And when they give you communion, they put wine in it. Guess what? In ancient times, before Christ was born, the whole area of the Middle East, Greece, South and Northern Egypt, Africa, it was governed by the Greek Empire, the ancient Greek Empire. The olive trees and the olive trees were born. They came first time on this planet through the land of Greece, and then as the empire grew all the way to Black Sea, they took the olive trees and they planted them there. And so they did to Italy and Spain. The grapes, they went all the way to Ireland. That was a man's deal. This was not something that a man created. This is not the orange tree and the apple tree and every other tree we have on this planet. They were created by the earth. They only created by the earth, but not by nature, I'm trying to say, but not by a human. They were transplanted by humans. So when Christ was having meetings around Lebanon or Palestine, with his apostles, they were using olive oil for the food. They realized it was healthy. And then they were using wine for their meeting, for dinners. And they liked it. So that's why they put it as a part of the mixture that you take when you go in the church and you have communion. Both of these items, if they are, especially the olive oil, it has a great medicinal value. It helps your brain, it cleans up your veins, helps your heart, it makes you younger, it helps your health. So this is our mission on this, and this is why I chose it to do what I'm doing, because the planet, I don't care how many prayers you make every day, cannot survive if the human species does not change the way it treats the earth, the water, the air, everything. It is critical for the human being to understand that if we don't take, they're fighting now about gas-owned cars and electrical cars. Everything that we do through science, we have to realize whatever we dump on this planet and that is not healthy is going to interfere with human life. And that is our mission. Small as it is, we want to do the best we can as a human being, not to make money, but to give people what they deserve. What they deserve at all times is healthy food, no matter what the item is. If it is milk, if it is chicken, without giving the chicken all kinds of chemicals to get fat very fast so that they can cut his neck and give it out to the people. If it is lamb, if it is whatever it is, meat product, they have to stop feeding the animals that we use for human food with chemicals in order to increase their weight and make more money by giving people things that they are not healthy for them. And this is why fish, it used to be the most healthy thing to eat, but now because of pollution, they polluting the oceans is not funny. We have destroyed a lot of fish life, and you can see what's happening in the Antarctic. You can see what's happened out in Alaska. The snow has disappeared, the ice has disappeared, and the animals are dying. This is where I'm at in life and death of the human species in the globe.
I truly appreciate you sharing all of that, Tassos. And I'll be honest with you. Very recently, I had an epiphany that everything we are comes from our Earth. Everything. When you think about it, if you're eating relatively healthy, I'm not talking about things that are, generated with chemicals, but, the produce, the vegetables, the fruit, even meat, if you eat, where do you think the animal grazed? On the earth.
Absolutely. I agree with you. This is what we have to focus our attention, and all these politicians, they go around and there's inflation and this and the other. Ask them how much oxygen we are taking out of the trees with production of the trees when we tear them down to put a light pole up.
Exactly. Yeah.
The system that we have made this year, I'm talking about the 70s, it was a system that they would go through concrete casing, where you had the electrical cable, the telephone cable, the natural gas, and the water going through a piping system that does not go through neighborhoods, does not throw kinds of problems around the trees, and it is safe.
I want to go back to just before you formed the company.
Yeah.
What was your vision? Did it change along the way, or from the beginning, did you say,
No, I'll tell you what happened on this. As I said, I was basically building. I started building buildings in After U.S. Steel closed up the plants in Chicago, I didn't want to go into Pittsburgh, where they had their center offices. So I opened up my own company, design and construction. Because I'm located in Chicago, I'm trying to figure out how in God's name we can work during winter time and not stop because of the snow and the ice, and you cannot get carpenters out or anybody in a construction site. So I started in a factory outside of Chicago doing modular buildings. And these modular buildings did very well. I did a hotel in Lake Geneva, Hilton. I did another hotel here in Chicago, Holiday. I built the Hilton Hotel in Philadelphia. I built a lot of subdivisions and everything else all the way to Park City, Utah. So I was doing very, very well. My three kids, my daughter Anna and my son Foti and Michael, had gone to college at Purdue, and they were continuing their graduate education in the University of Michigan, Loyola, and Foti continued for OB Agani at the University of Illinois. My father got sick with a cancer in his throat because he was smoking. I smoked too. So he came here to Chicago to take care of him with the doctors, and I took him around to see the buildings I was doing. Unfortunately, I don't know how young you are, but during the Vietnam War, the United States government was taking everybody, because it was a draft system then, from college, if they were not football players or basketball players, and draft them and send them to Vietnam. I lost a lot of friends in Vietnam from going to war, because the training was very short. They would send them to war, and months later they would come in a casket. So it was under President Carter's time where 5 guys were flown, tried to fly the prisoners out of Iran and bring them to the United States, and the helicopters crashed in the desert. This caused me to say, hell, I'm going to build a monument in this town to honor the 5 people, but also let the American citizen go by this monument and see how many thousands of people lost their lives in the wars that we have fought until now. And I had it listed from the Civil War to, obviously, the Vietnam War. Well, I thought I'll take my father around to show him what I have done. This was a gift that I gave to the town, Palos Heights Village. I took my father to see the buildings, and then at the end, I took him to see the monument. And even though the monument had Greek philosophers' statements, my father looked at me and says, "What have you done for Greece, the country that you were born?" I felt like he gave me a punch in the stomach. I said, I have 3 kids going to the university, all of them ready to go for their PhDs and masters. He says, well, you forgot the place that you were born from. And your name is not Smith or Johnson, it's Chronopoulos. So he upset me very much. Unfortunately, when my father passed away here, he could not make it after the cancer, because the doctors in Greece had not described all the type of cancers he had, and all we looked at was at his throat. And when I took him back to Greece to bury him at the cemetery, surrounded the cemetery, there were olive trees. And I looked at them, and I said, for God's sake, they have never done anything with the product of olives and olive oil to bring it into the United States. So I got involved, and at that time, every grocery store in the United States had corn oil. The olive oil had not made the entrance in the market. So I brought it here in Chicago at Jewel grocery stores, and it was the only product next to all the corn oils. Well, the Spaniards smelled what was going on, and they started creating a lot of a lot of brands with olive oil from Spain, and that's how it started. And from there, I went into olives, and today, 30 years later, we are happy to have a product in Mexico, in the United States, in Canada, and sometimes in Europe.
Tasso, did you feel back then at that cemetery, and your intention was wonderful, and the fact that there were olive trees there, do you feel it was almost like a divine intervention that put all that together at that moment?
I think so. Because I looked at the olive tree has a lot of meanings. You remember the bird with the olive branch? It was the message of peace. Every time you would see the bird flying around, with an olive branch, that was peace. So it was in the Bible they were saying, the ancient Greeks, they will exaggerate stuff. They called it the blessed tree because while they were looking to find wood to make a cross, they went to the olive tree, and it was bending. They could not get a straight piece of wood out of it. So and then you have to realize that the Olympics in Greece in ancient times, instead of a gold medal, they would give them a jar full of olive oil, because it was the medicinal value product that they can have good time, and also help the health in the body. So I looked at all this stuff, and I said, my God, I got to do something about it, because at the time nobody knew that Greece had olive trees or can make olive oil.
Wow. And I find it so amazing that you were ahead of your time, ahead of the curve, because what happened after all of that? Years later, the thing called the Mediterranean diet got hugely popular, still is today, and is a way of life for many that live on the other side of the world. We're just about out of time, Tassos. Wonderful talking with you. I really truly mean it.
This is what caused the Greek restaurants to come around town, to a point where I remember one very big journalist in Chicago Sun-Times, when he met me and I told him that I was an engineer, he never believed it. And when the city, mayor of the city gave me an award for helping the military people, he was sitting on the table, and he says to me, my God, I thought you had a restaurant. And my reply to him was, yeah, we have Greek restaurants with good food that helps the brain, and that will make you assume that everyone has a restaurant. So, yeah, that's what created, I mean, at the time, the tourists that they would go to Europe, it was Greek or Italy at the time, they will come back with this, with these good feelings about the food that they were the Mediterranean food, but it had not opened up across the country.
Food is life, and it's evident in what you do and the love that you put in your products and your staff as well. Your name is on it, Tassos. If you want to check it out, TASSOS.com. Tassos, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you.
You're truly an inspiration. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Adopt US Kids presents Multiple Choice Parenting.
Your daughter just had her first breakup. Do you A, put yourself in her shoes?
How could he do this to you? And for Sheila, she has split ends.
B, console her?
Oh, sweetie, this is going to happen a lot. 4, maybe 5 more times before you get married.
C, take charge?
Got to get this all straightened out. Give a little talking to, man-to-man, mano a mano. Hey, Steve! Is now a good time? No? Okay, no problem. Bye.
Or D, help her find a new boyfriend.
I know a great place to meet boys. The internet. Nice, single boys. Never mind. How about some ice cream?
As a parent, there are no perfect answers. But you don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. Thousands of teens in foster care will love you just the same.
For more information on how you can adopt, visit adoptuskids.org. A public service announcement from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt U.S. Kids, and the Ad Council.